Hi, and thank you for joining me on the 249 Marathon Project Week 4 update. Today in this video, I'm going to go through all of the training sessions from Week 4, as well as the strength and conditioning and yoga and the rest. I'll also discuss all the metrics and where I am in relation to where I was the previous week. I suppose I'll start by just saying that it hasn't been a particularly great week. Now, I have pretty high standards, so it's not like it's been a terrible week. However, for me, I'm feeling like it wasn't a particularly perfect week. I think there's a lot of work to be done in week 5. So it's a cutback week in week 5. So there's room for a bit of exhaling and for kind of resetting everything. Just wanted to mention as well, if you are enjoying this content, I would greatly appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. It would mean a great deal for me, and it would put the 249 Marathon Project in front of more people, holding me just that little bit more accountable and hopefully making it a little bit more achievable for me. So let's start with Monday. Monday was a rest day. I got my 20-minute body weight routine done. And that's about it, really. I did get my 10,000 steps, but that was just by everyday activities. I didn't actually even go for a walk. So it was a good day, good rest day. For nutrition on Monday, I had just under 1,900 calories and 119 grams of protein. I had 2.5 liters of water, and I slept for 7 hours, 25 minutes. Tuesday was an 8-mile or 13K tempo run. In miles, that's 2 miles easy, 4 miles hard, 2 miles easy. In Ks, that's 3K, 7K, 3K. It went well. It was about 25 degrees out, which is warm, and I have to keep that in mind. When I trained for Manchester, I'm looking and I'm comparing this training block with Manchester. Manchester, all the training was done throughout the winter. January and February here in southern Spain, it was, low teens to mid-teens. It very rarely would touch into 20s. And here at this point in time, it's very rarely under 20. And, so just for reference, 25 Celsius is 77 Fahrenheit. So my pace was pretty good. I was in and around the 4-minute Ks for the tempo portion. I ran in my Nike Zoom Tempo Next Percents. Those are coming to the end. I don't have too many miles left on those, and it'll be unfortunate because you can't get them anymore, and I really like these shoes. For nutrition here on Tuesday, I had just under 2,000 calories, 154 grams of protein, and 3 liters of water. For sleep, I had just over 8.5 hours, and I did also get my strength and conditioning done. On Wednesday was my first double session of the week, first of 2. The morning session was a 6-miler or 10K. The afternoon session was a 4-miler or 7K. They were both done in 26-degree temperatures, and I wore my Saucony Endorphin Shift 2s. Yeah, good sessions, easy runs. They were pretty consistent. Nothing really special about them, just getting in the mileage. I had literally just over 1,900 calories, 156 grams of protein, and 3 liters of water. For strength and conditioning, I got my 20-minute bodyweight workout and a 20-minute yoga for runners session in. And for sleep, I had just over 7 hours and 40 minutes. Thursday was another 8-miler or 13K. This one was supposed to be the first 6 miles easy, the last 2 picking up the pace into a steady pace. On this one, I felt really good from the first mile, so I pushed it to a steady pace from mile 1. And the last 2 miles, I picked up the pace into a hard effort. I wore my old pair of Nike Alphafly 1s. One of the reasons I think I found it particularly comfortable was it was only 23 degrees or 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So that certainly helps. I really do think I need to be a little bit easier on myself when it comes to running in these temperatures. I know it has a detrimental effect on effort. It takes more energy, it takes more hydration. It takes so much more out of you when you're running in, the mid to upper 20s, 30s. So I just need to keep that in mind. For nutrition, I had over 2,100 calories. I had 183 grams of protein, 3.5 liters of water. This is the first time I think this week that I felt like I lost a bit of discipline with my nutrition. I'm usually pretty careful with what I eat, and I don't stray too far away from what I'm trying to do. Just wasn't. I need to give myself a little bit of space to not be overly concerned about it, particularly right now. I did my strength and conditioning. I also did my yoga, and I slept for just over 7 hours, 7 hours and 8 minutes. Friday was my second double session of the week. This one was supposed to be a 3-miler or 5K easy in the morning, followed by a 4-miler or 7K in the afternoon or evening at a steady pace. So I had a very early start on Friday morning. I took my wife to the airport. We left the house at about 4 a.m. I stuck around the airport, did a little bit of work, and then I went to the beach and did my first run there. I caught it just bang on perfect timing, caught the sunrise over the Mediterranean, absolutely beautiful. You can see that on Instagram. And I would say my run was a very good run, nice and easy in a beautiful environment, so hard to beat that. It was nice and cool too. I think it was around 23 degrees again. My afternoon run was a little bit more difficult. Not for me. I decided my dog has been left on his own a little bit too much lately, and particularly on Friday, we left him out in the yard. It's fenced in, by the way, but we left him out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we fed him early because I knew I wasn't going to be home. I felt bad about leaving him alone by himself all morning, and so when I got home around noontime, we hung out together a bit, and I decided I would take him for my afternoon run. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was a little bit warm. I checked the road. The road isn't hot. It was 30 degrees outside when we started. Which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. He was fine. He pushed the pace a little bit too hard, maybe. That's his way of doing everything. But after about 4K, I decided that was probably enough, and we walked back. So I didn't get my full 7K. I missed it by 3K. And that is the only difference between my targeted mileage for this week and my actual mileage, was just that 3K. I wore my Nike Revolution 6 trainers for both runs, morning and afternoon. This was my second day in a row of what I would call undisciplined eating. I had just over 2,100 calories, but I only had 88 grams of protein and 2.25 liters of water. Probably not near enough. And if you stick around to the end, I'll go through my theory on why I think I'm having kind of a downer of a week. But I think it all ties together. And from my experience, I'd say I have a good indication of what it is. On Friday, I did not get my bodyweight routine done. So that was the first time, and hopefully the only time, that I'll miss my 20-minute bodyweight strength training during the week. Because it was such an early start, and because we had so much to do to get everything prepared for the morning, I only had 5.5 hours sleep. Saturday was another tempo session. It was a 7-miler, 232, or if you're in Ks, it was 11K, 343. Again, I worked hard. I felt okay on it. I would say it was just about okay. I wore Hoka Rocket X2s. The actual hard part of it was, I worked hard. And I think that's another thing that I think we all need to remember. It's about the effort we put in. The previous evening, I only had 5.5 hours sleep. I didn't eat particularly well. I felt kind of down before the session started. So to put that effort in, that's always a positive. And it's important to always try to get some positives out of every session, whether that's learning something, whether that's, hitting your targets, or actually sometimes it's just getting it done is a positive. For nutrition, I had just over 2,100 calories again, and 117 grams of protein. And once again, not a great night's sleep with just under 5.5 hours. So even though I got my session done and I put a good effort into the session, I wouldn't consider that a particularly great day for me. I think what I really need to do is string together a much better week in week 5 in order to feel really good again. Sunday's long slow distance run was a 20 miler or 32K, the first 20 miler on the plan. I wore my Saucony Endorphin Shift 2s once again. When I woke up, I wasn't particularly motivated to take this on, and I think every one of you can relate to that. So knowing that I was lacking motivation, I decided to take on a route that I really enjoy running. So I went up Mountain Gap and into the trails, and I did my first 6 miles or so in that environment, and it was beautiful. The terrain was slow. The run was slow because it was climbing for a lot of that 6 miles. When I'm not really feeling too motivated, I try to do things that, will put me in a better frame of mind. And running up in the trails in the mountains is one of those things that does actually cheer me up a wee bit. So it was 24 degrees when I left the house at 20 past 9 in the morning. That's a comfortable enough temperature. It did climb as the day went on. The clouds kind of parted and the sun come out. Believe it or not, this is something that everyone needs to take into account when running in warmer temperatures. I lost almost 6 pounds of water weight on that 20 miler. Okay, so I weighed myself before I left and I weighed myself when I got back. I drank 1.5 liters of water that morning before I left. So I was well hydrated. I didn't have the opportunity to get water on my route. I could have early, but it would have been too early, I think. So I kind of planned for that by drinking so much water before I left. So I think it worked out okay. I didn't feel dehydrated. I was ready to be finished with the run at about mile 19. But I got home no problem. For nutrition, I had a much better day at 1,840 calories. Still low on the protein at 102 grams. And for water, I had a total of 4.25 liters. So plenty of water, but not a ton of protein. Just on a note, on a Sunday run for me, I do a lot of work on a Sunday. Sundays are my busy day. From a coaching point of view, I have calls for about 5 hours throughout the day. And also, when I got home from my long run, I just laid down for a bit, had a drink of water, had my protein shake, and then I laid down for a couple of hours. I did my 20-minute yoga for runners session in the morning, and in total, I slept for 7 hours and 48 minutes. Right, now for some metrics. My weigh-in on Friday of week 4 was 158 pounds, which is 71.7 kilo. That is a drop of 2.4 pounds or 1.1 kilograms. My resting heart rate hasn't changed. It's still at 40 for the week. That's my weekly daily average resting heart rate. That's a mouthful. For sleep, because I had a couple of days that I slept a lot, and there was a few days that I slept very little, it averaged out to 7 hours and 4 minutes. That is still a little bit more than I'm used to. So I suppose we can call that a positive. It's about a half an hour more than I'm used to on a nightly average. My daily protein intake was 131. That's actually not far off where I want to be on a daily basis. I think 150 grams would be ideal. I'm more concerned about my lack of discipline, my lack of planning on my meals. I need to do better. I don't have any excuses. I just simply need to do better. I averaged just under 3 liters of water per day, which is okay. And I got 58.4 miles for the week, or just over 95 kilometers. So not bad on that front. It was 4 more than last week. This week is going to be a little bit lower, and then the following week I'll start to build again. Okay, thanks for sticking around here. I'd like to address a few things with regards to why I feel like this was kind of a downer of a week. Having gone through a lot over the last few years, I found that my biggest problem was sleep. And when I when I took sleep on as an issue and I faced it head on and I tackled that problem, life for me changed dramatically for the better. Okay. There's a number of different things. So I talked about not drinking anymore, but what that did more than anything was help me sleep better, and my quality of sleep is better. Even though I probably get a lot less hours in bed, my quality of sleep better. I feel refreshed. Normally, I feel refreshed when I wake up in the morning. This last week, so I had a couple of days that I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I probably struggled to get out of bed for the first time in a long time this week. And that had a negative impact on how I felt going in and facing each day, particularly those days where I lacked motivation for my runs, like Sunday, Saturday even, Friday afternoon. It just there's this week has been a little bit disruptive as well, and that has disrupted my sleep, and that lack of sleep has affected how I go about planning my meals, and it means I'm a little bit less focused on what I eat. Sometimes, if I'm not focused and disciplined, I will just grab what's available because I need something. I'm hungry. So for me, I need to be better prepared. I need to get back into my routine of getting up early, going to bed at a decent hour, making sure that I get a good night's sleep. Eating properly will make a big difference for me. All of these things tied together will affect how I feel about my sessions. And I know that if I feel good about my sessions, I will execute them so much better. And I think that's with anything that whether that's going to work or, going to play football or, going for your run, spending time with your family and kids, any of that stuff is a lot more enjoyable when you feel good going into the day. So that's my 2 cents on where I went wrong this week. I don't think that's a lesson learned. I think it's a lesson remembered. And so for this week, where it's just me and Doggo for the week, uh, I just I need to just really focus myself, be disciplined, get my shit done, and do what I know makes me feel good. So I'm going to try that and we'll see how it goes. So here's to a really good, successful week 5 for you, for me, for everybody. And I will see you on Friday with the week 6 sessions.